You need to localize assets.
I don't
What is going on, people? It's Saturday. Henry had too much to drink last night. A couple too many whiskey sours. I was there last weekend, brother. Wasn't the whiskey sours? At a certain point, I couldn't even tell you what I had last weekend going into the fourth. Had to rally though. Hope you're doing all right today, brother. We got two more before we get into this BBM. I'm burged out today. No rhyme, no reason. Just berging for the berg of it. Tried to get into this sprint. It does not look like it's going to fill before this BBM. Unfortunately. We'll wait until we're officially in it, though, before I leave. I can't risk going double time today. One more before we get into this BBM. Figure out where we're sitting in this next one. Check out a quick update for how we're doing in this 8-hour draft. Said it yesterday, the back-to-back went Evans, Kittle. I'm likely going to angle for, I think, Caleb and probably like Odunze and then Burden later on, maybe Loveland. That's the kind of play I think I'm going to make in terms of like what 17 I'm going to stack in this. But I think taking Evans there as opposed to taking like Moore and Kittle lets me kind of potentially play into some other shit without angling too hard too early, especially in a draft position where you can't play into too much of the draft successfully. All right, pick 12. So we're going to see a fast version of how I'm going to go at 12. Let's see here. I honestly don't have too much rhyme or reason at 12. We'll see if this ends up being one of those drafts where I show my steely balls doing a couple big reaches or not. But the first four, usually just let the draft come to me. I do like at 12, but we did it before. Not in BBM, I don't think. It may have been BBM, I can't remember at this point. Going, where's he at? If Nico falls due at 12, going Nico Ladd and then already having that 17 stack is one I appreciate a fair bit. But we'll see how the draft falls to us. Honestly, I don't have a BBM with Genti yet. This draft is a slow one, is a Dowshand, I'm pretty sure. So, wouldn't hate that. Amon-Ra, I do have a decent bit. I'm not like under on my shares or anything. I honestly have like no McCaffrey, but that's mainly because if I do pick in that like 6, 7, 8 range, I've usually been in the later half and end up taking like Puka or something. Let's see what these guys do. Honestly, I really do love Brian Thomas. And I don't have a Jacksonville-focused stack in BBM yet. And they play Indy. Ain't great, but it would be pretty easy to get Pittman. I don't know if the ADP lines up with where we would be picking, though. All right. We will queue up BTGA. What do I want to do on the second pick, though? I mean, how does Tampa Bay stack up with where our picks would be? 36 would be exactly where we're at, yeah. So I'm gonna go a chain. And then we'll likely take Evans at the next back-to-back. And then we can work into some Indy plays later. Sincerely doubt that Taylor's gonna be there at 36. I don't love him, but I don't hate him. This could be, I have like no Tyler Warren. Could be a team that I potentially do that. In terms of if I'm going to take an Indy quarterback, it's hard for me to trust AR. But DJ ain't, he ain't great. I just think AR is going to be on such a short leash this year. I don't know. We'll see. Let's queue up some of the rest of these. Just so I don't forget my team stacks later. Hope everyone's weekend started off well last night. Celebrated my boy's birthday. Swung a couple clubs indoors. Hit some golf balls, which I am atrocious at. We had a good time though. Godwin, yeah, we could potentially angle for a Tampa Bay double, because we will be back at 60 for Godwin. Where does Baker land? He's early, I know that. 93. I mean, we could reach on Baker. I like that. Get a Tampa Bay double. Yeah. Tampa Bay double and just like a random Thomas Indy play in. I fuck with it. I'm here for it. I am here for it. Probably going to have to take Pittman over Egbuka, especially if we go Evans-Godwin. I love Egbuka, but I don't know that I can make all of that work. I mean, I really... Waller and Warren would be an interesting tight end room that I don't think I'm mentally prepared to have to handle. Alright, 5 picks away. Q is some semblance of setup. Hopefully Evans is there. In terms of who the other pick would be, given how many receivers we do want to target later, it would be fairly safe to take like Brees or Kyron. I honestly don't know who I would prefer right now. Do we have any sort of overlap from either of them? Oh yeah, the Jets play Jacksonville 15. So there you go. That's your decision maker right there. Alright, Brees and then Evans. Let's do it. I'm liking it early. I'm liking this. You like that? I fucking do. A little bit of advance rate, sustainability. Getting a nice little 15 matchup in there, and then we're pretty set at running back. We can target all the receivers we want later. We'll move into like a pretty... high value 17 stack. This is by no means going to be like a unique lineup, which is what I usually prefer to target, especially with how popular BestBall has become. But sometimes it don't have to be unique or overly unique to win the big bucks. I do have to leave this sprint before I end up in 2 drafts. Which is something I've done before, but it's exponentially easier when you're towards the end of one draft and start a second one. Alright. So yeah. Plan at 60 and 61 is going to be Godwin. If Waddle's there, I'm going to take him. Otherwise, we have just kind of an open pick. But we're going to reach, small reach, 6 picks on Godwin, get a Tampa Bay double, and then aim for Baker at our next back-to-back. Which I'm fairly pumped for. Got me juiced up on a Saturday. Which, speaking of, at least on the East Coast out here in Jersey, it's a beautiful day. Get a draft in if you want, and then get outside, get active, do something with the fellas if you're feeling up for it. Probably gonna go meet up with my boys in a short bit after this draft. Trying to figure out who I might prefer in this open range for our second pick here that isn't going to be Godwin. Checking the matchups to see if there's anything that isn't popping out to me right now that could be worth. If you want to go just Jacksonville double, why not if Hunter's there? I have seen him fall a bit. And talk about a player that has a lot of upside. Personally, I would, especially with Hunter, I'd probably prefer him without Brian Thomas. I think it's significantly harder for him to hit that massive ceiling if Thomas is already improving from what he did last year. Or even just maintaining, really. Granted, target share and volume could come from tight end position. Evan Ingram's not there. There's no guarantee that Brenton Strange is gonna supplant his role. So there is a possibility, but for the two of them to be uber fantasy relevant, you're gonna need T-Law to, like, be slinging it this year. But, I mean, that's the kind of, like, high ceiling bet that will help this team move through. And, to be fair, how many jerk-offs you know are running a T-Law Baker double? You're looking at one of them. Where is T-Law? Am I blind? Alright. I was blind. 132. Where would we have to take him? Oh, I mean, we are lining up fucking chef's kiss. There you go. I'm rocking with it. I'm vibing with it. A Jacksonville Tampa Bay double. Who do you know? How do you like that? All right. I'm feeling good right now. It's the kind of draft I want. Kick off the afternoon of my Saturday. All right. Baker's at the next pick. And we will be taking Whomst with him. I can't, why, like, Josh Downs going above Pittman is kind of like mind-boggling to me. Is my brain dumb? Am I out of touch? Someone tell me if I am. But, like, Downs doesn't have the ceiling. Downs is a great player. I have him in Dynasty on, like, multiple teams. But he's, like, the high floor, high wide receiver 3 that, like, you can depend on. He's not the kind of player, at least in my eyes, that's going to, like, win you BBM. Pittman, if he returns to, like, that high wide receiver 2, like, where you can get him, that's the kind of, like, boost that can help you get there. I mean, definitely, though, with this Jacksonville double, I need to take an Indy receiver. So if by some strange happenstance Pittman isn't there and Downs is, I will just have to fuck all the nonsense I was saying and take him. This fall on Swift and Pacheco is curious to me. There are 2 running backs that I really love in this range. Especially Pacheco, to be honest. Not to... I don't know. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Hide, I guess, my love of Swift. If Pacheco falls to me... I think I have to take him. So please don't fall to me, because that's going to make a tough decision for me. Okay. Alright, that's fine by me. Finish up our Baker stack. Get into the Jacksonville game on the opposite side. Feels good, man. Feels good. And to clarify, the reason I'm not going for a Baker triple on Egbuka, I mean, that would immensely raise your Tampa Bay team ceiling. But to get there in Week 17, I expect I'm going to need that Jacksonville Indy game to pop off more than people would expect. So I need some sort of exposure to the other side of that. And, I mean, it would be, like, it's a tough world for me to see a Tampa Bay triple. Like, you really need to hit the nuts on a Tampa Bay triple. Like, I feel like taking Egbuka is almost more of a slight floor play than a ceiling play. Like, you've taken Baker, you've taken Evans, and you've taken Godwin. At a certain point, like, Egbuka can't do that much more for you. What he's probably going to do is, like, either be a weak injury fill-in, or you're betting that, like, hey, if he happens to be the guy 17 that scores, you get there. But in my eyes, you would just lose out to the team that then has, like, Evans, Egbuka, instead of Evans, Godwin, Egbuka, 17. That's where my mind rests on it. Still have Warren we could target. We have one back-to-back before we take Lawrence. We do not need Tua. Alec Pierce is a fair high-ceiling play. I also will not need to take either of these. Theoretically, if Richardson were to fall to what, like my last pick, if he were there at 204, 205, I might take him just for the upside. Should he play in that 17 game, I think that's fair. If you need stability at your quarterback 2 or 3, I'd be taking Jones. If you already have set quarterbacks and can play into that Jacksonville Indy game, then I'd take Richardson, which is where my team currently sits. All right. So what was it? 108? Yeah, 108, 109. Start surfing the board. See what we can find here. Yeah, Seattle plays Indy, 15. Chargers don't play either team, I don't believe. Yeah, they don't. Giants play... No, they play Vegas. Washington, Minnesota, Vegas. So, I mean, I do also just like Sharps. So I'm content with that. Get a fill-in running back 3 that I like a fair bit. If Brian Robinson is there, I will take him. Volume is king. Especially in a half-point PPR, his lack of receiving work is less of an issue. He's not a player that I target especially, partially because I do think the mid-range running backs that are going to get receiving work are usually the ones that are going to outperform ADP, but Robinson is a player that will be a pretty safe running back for you. All right. So, yeah, we're going... Sharps Warren, I guess, right? Let's queue up Sharps first while I think about this. We're at 5 wide receivers. I feel comfortable about them considering the bets that we have to take on them. And I have 0 Warren. If there's any lineup that I'm going to be taking Warren, it should be this one. Trey Harris is tempting, but I don't think he fits into what I want to do in this lineup. He's also currently like holding out. All right. Next pick will be T-Law. And who else? Honestly, I'm a Rachaad White fan. Could just fill in running back there. I do want a little bit something else at wide receiver. But that might be cowardly. I might be overthinking bye week stability, which I don't need in BBM. Yeah, we are probably going to... That's the scariest thought that I just had is that I'm probably going to be taking Darren Waller on this team, which is a frightening thought, to be honest. I genuinely can't believe that he's playing football again. Bro went broke. Big time. Okay. What was it? 32-33. T-Law will be one. Who will be the other? Honestly, we could go Tootin, but Tootin might be too much. I feel like I might be... I mean, to be fair, it's again the ceiling. I'm already fully in on the Jacksonville offense, and to potentially take what maybe could be their RB1 at this range is ceiling chase that I should be taking. And save the diversification for later. New Orleans plays Tennessee. Who else do they play along the way? Doesn't matter, but let's find out. Carolina, Jets, Tennessee. All right. Yeah, I think I'm just fully Jacksonville me up. Seems to be where the cards lie for me. at the next double, just to see what wide receivers would be on the board. It's 156. I mean, we could look at it. They do play Tampa Bay 15. Not someone I love, but not someone I especially hate. Yeah, I think I'm about that. Honestly, Pitts might be the play over Waller. Because it's ceiling and I do get a 1-game stack. Is he going to be there, though? Alright, he should. Okay. I like that. I don't think I'm going to take right. Okay. I feel fairly comfortable with that. Pitts will definitely be one of the targets at the next back-to-back. We basically just get one Tampa Bay game off of him, 15. He has decent matchups, 16 and 17, and he's basically just a ceiling tight end. Because, to be completely honest, I'm not fully in love with Warren, and he's not a player that you're taking at kind of that insane premium where he needs to be a top 5 tight end. Like when you take Brock McBride, I mean, this is inherently known. If you're taking Brock McBride, any of that, like, they need to be your tight end. So you can kind of just punt the rest of your tight ends, because if they fail, you're not dead, but, like, you're struggling. Warren is a mid-range tight end, which I hate taking mid-range tight ends. And while he is one of the tight ends that top 5 might be tough for me to convince you about, while he could be, someone that has a lot of week-to-week upside. I don't know if he has the season-long upside. To me, Pitts is one of those tight ends that you're taking in the mid-range that has the potential to be the top 5 tight end that you need on the season. And the music agrees with me. Yeah, how do you like me now? I rock with this team. I feel fairly good about it. This is the kind of stacking that you want to do. Stacking and ceiling. This is textbook. And while, like, you might think, ew, Jacksonville? Ew. Trevor Lawrence? Can't trust Trevor Lawrence. That's what I say. I'll be honest with you. But sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes we all are. So let's hope Trevor Lawrence figures it out this season. I have a buddy that loves Trevor Lawrence. Loves him. Can't get enough of him. I don't get it. Trevor Lawrence is half clown in my eyes. Part of my opinion, though, is fully based on just him having one of the worst games of all time against one of the best collegiate defenses of all time. In my opinion, was formed in stone, not to be rewritten. Alright, the classical music was funny for a little bit, but I don't want to keep listening to this. And you hit me with an ad, you son of a gun. To go back to what I said before about taking off Jalen Wright, to be fair, this is a team that I've positioned for a fairly high ceiling. Having Wright as, like, 1 or 2 weeks safety net wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but at least with how I feel the team is currently shaping out, I think I need some other stuff right now, more than I need that running back safety net for the top end guy, especially with these other 2 backs I have. I don't think that's the right play. I mean, if you're gonna give me Leggett, I'm gonna take him. Pitts went, which does suck. I did forget about Brenton Strange. Hand up, you caught me. And I do like Brenton Strange a fair bit. Again, I'm really betting on T-Law with this lineup. And Carolina plays, Tampa Bay. Let's do it. Let's roll it. Roll it up and smoke my fucking copium pack. Who you know out here with a Jacksonville triple? Into an Indy double. It's going to be so funny when this team just absolutely fucking tanks 17 going into a big bet on Jacksonville Indy. Oh, that's so funny. This is pure-blooded ceiling, though. I'm running the slot machine of BBM, and I'm going for the jackpot. Let's see what else we can get out of here. I mean, don't get me wrong. A fair reason to be like, I hate this team is because of how reliant it is on these 4 players. But I mean, doing that stacking is what potentially wins you BBM, just straight up. To this degree, maybe not. I could have, fair play, could have completely overstacked here. But this is the life I live. Alright, next pick. What are we looking at? 80-81. What's on the board? Yeah, I mean, I will just take Pierce. I'm fully committed to stacking that game at this point. Just saying, hey, this game needs a high total. Whoever hits it, I'm going to be the one who decides. Houston doesn't get us anything in terms of stacking. Zona doesn't either. I'm not taking Diami Brown. I don't need another Jacksonville player. We could 3 tight end it with Waller. Honestly, I fairly like that. A lot of my friends are like 2 tight end or bust. The 3rd tight end more often than not isn't giving you the point differential to make up the like advance rate. Which, to clarify that, because that may be a little confusing. The 3rd tight end is not going to give you enough points to overcome the lead that the best team in your draft pool is likely going to have. That's the short of it. But because Waller lets us further play into like this another game stack that we really need 17, which is Tampa Bay Miami, I'm kind of fine with it, especially because even though which I don't like doing, invested a fair bit of mid-range capital into these tight ends, I think it makes a decent bit of sense. And Waller isn't even a player that I like. I don't think I can take McMillan, right? I'm not fucking crazy. Okay. Waller and Pierce. Yeah. I mean, you could go Otten instead. We know we're taking Pierce. Let's think this over. Waller or Otten? We already have basically our money on Baker. It is only a Tampa Bay double right now. Fuck, this is tough. I really don't want to bet on the guy that hasn't played football in years. And I think Otten makes more sense because of the bet that we've made on Baker. Did I glitch out? What's going on? What happened? Alright. We got there. And now we close out with a running back and potentially Anthony Richardson just for a spike in 17 should he play. Giddens would be fine. He likely will not make it there, though. So this running back, because of where we are in the draft, is basically just going to be like, who do you think has the ceiling? Jarquez Hunter has been a little too hyped up, in my opinion. Especially, like, he was a dynasty buy because of what he could potentially be next season. He, at least to me, is not a best ball buy because Kyren is still there. The dynasty theory behind Jarquez Hunter is that he's very akin to what Kyren already is. So, if the Rams decide, hey, we got a lot of cap tied elsewhere, we're not going to re-sign Kyren, they could just, like, next year give Hunter a bit of run. But I don't see much of that happening this year. like, at all. Lloyd, who does Green Bay play? Denver, Chicago, for 15-16. Honestly, Keaton Mitchell probably has... Nah. I mean, Keaton Mitchell is, I think, a good running back, unless Baltimore just has the secret sauce to making any running back a good running back. But they would just never give him the feature role. Justice Hill would be, like, stealing shit on the weekly. God damn it. My bad. I was pissed off about the ad. I've drafted a ton of Dylan Sampson just because the draft pick made no sense to me. And if Judkins were to get hurt, there is a small word where they're like, hey, Jerome Ford, you're old, and Dylan Sampson is playing well. We're just going to give Sampson full run. That's been the only thought process behind it. Like, in this range of running backs, Sampson, to me, is the, like, highest ceiling guy. Could maybe convince me about Devin Neal if Kamara were to go down. But I don't know. I really don't know. And the other play with Sampson is, like, if he steals Jerome Ford's role and Judkins is not, like, the immediate volume guy that we expect him to be, then he has standalone value as well. So, but honestly, I've drafted a little bit too much of him. Is there anything that could... No matchup making there. But I feel like I might just still take him. This AR pick is kind of crazy, but we're running on upside, brother. Is it Sampson? I honestly don't know. Yeah, I think it is Sampson. Like, I feel comfortable with how my running back room is, and he's the ceiling play. If he weren't there, I probably would take Devin Neal, but I'm going to take Sampson. And that's the draft, baby. Let's run through it again. Start off with Brian Thomas into Devin Achane. Devin Achane was the pick here in my eyes because of how we were able to target both Evans and Godwin later at our picks. In terms of the next back-to-back, I took Breece Hall, partial because, yes, I do like him, and partial because the Jets do play Jacksonville in Week 15. So we get a little bit of advance rate in there, hopefully, on top of a running back that I like, in praying, honestly, that he maintains his role despite what Jets' new head coach has been saying. And then Evans for that Miami stack, also because knowing, hey, we can also hit Godwin. We play into Baker as well, who lines up with that ADP spot. Hunter, because we've already taken BTJ, and I know how easy it is to line up some of these indie players later, and it sets up just another quarterback stack that we can play into to massively raise our ceiling. Charbonnet, just kind of a premium handcuff to me that has the standalone receiving value. Admittedly, in a half PPR format, it's not as exceptional, but Charbonnet showed if Walker goes down and they give him run, he can be fairly good. The one thing I will add about Seattle is that they are more likely to be a more balanced offense this year. Their OC last year was pretty heavily pass-oriented. They were pass rate over expected of I can't remember what, but it was fairly high. So while it's kind of a double-edged sword for Charbonnet. He's going to be getting less receiving down work because they're going to be, I guess, just less targets in general from passing less. But I still think he's a great running back, so he should still be getting change of pace work a fair bit more. Tyler Warren, just to play into that Jacksonville game that we've already stacked heavily, and he's just a player I don't have many shares of yet, to be quite honest. Trevor Lawrence to finalize his stack. Tootin, because we've bet fully on Jacksonville. They need to be a top-performing offense for us. So to get someone who could just maybe be an RB1 for the team, at that ADP is something I'm going to do a fair bit. Leggett, just because I needed another wide receiver. His bye week is 14, which aligns well with our other ones, and he does play, I believe, Tampa Bay 16. Yes, Tampa Bay 16. So we get another just if he plays well that week, we get a little bit of advance rate hopefully. Strange, we need another tight end, and I like Strange. We're betting on Jacksonville. Pierce just to play further into Indy. Otten, same thing as Strange. We didn't necessarily need another tight end, but we're betting on Tampa Bay. Might as well take it. And then AR, pure ceiling pick. If by some semblance of God, divine intervention, he is able to maintain the starting quarterback role and maintain it or earn it back in like 15, 16, or 17, he's going to be a huge spike. And basically, like, I don't know, if you get some weird scenario where AR outperforms Lawrence, but the game is a super big game, you could be one of the few teams that has like a Lawrence stack with an AR bring back that like plays very well. And then Samson, we just need another running back, and we just talked about the reasons that I like him. So that's it for today. I will be back tomorrow with another one. Hopefully we can get into a sprint. But until then, be safe. Have a great Saturday. Get out there. Enjoy the weather. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.